it's hard to do at first until you meditate on your own sins, your own depravity. Like if you're not willing to face up to the facts that you have done and said and been a villain in somebody's life at some point, and you played the villain role, and when you were the villain, God still loved you. Like when we were still sinners, God sent His Son to die for us on the cross, and we received that grace. Man, that's what changes lives. That's what
Gosh,
changes
my
the
life
story.
was saved so many times. You remember
Right?
with the glass window when the guy was shooting directly at me from 5 feet away?
Yeah, yeah. Like
Fuck.
why,
Yeah.
why? I mean, I had um, um, a flask, an active reaction making meth in a meth lab in a little bathroom in a single wide mobile home. Like I was cooking up this thing, and I had a piece of scientific glassware, and I put it down on a hot plate, but the hot plate had ceramic on it, and glass and ceramic don't mix. Like ceramic breaks glass. And so I had
Oh
this
wow.
volatile reaction going on, and I put it down to heat it up, and I hear a tink. I'm like, uh-oh. And the crack starts going around the whole thing. I'm like, oh no. And again, every time I would go to manufacture crystal meth, I had debts to pay with those drugs. And so if that batch didn't work out, again, that's where I was going to get into more problems with other people. And so I was like, I was trying to find something to put it in, and then poof, the top pops off of the glassware, and the whole room fills up with the purple cloud, and I can feel my lungs starting to collapse from this purple cloud, and I start to lose consciousness. And I was able to crawl out of the room. I put the flask inside of a tub, and I turned off the hot plate, and I crawled out of the room with this big old purple cloud of it was it what the
That's right out
gas.
of the show, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Damn.
yeah, yeah. It was like
Good.
so it makes a sort of nerve mustard gas is what it happens inside the reaction. And so I mean
Wow.
I was getting feeling the effects of that. I crawl out and I pass out on the floor, and I wake up a couple hours later, and I go in there and try and salvage whatever I could, and it was all junk. But I was like, dang, I could have died right there. But now,
Yeah.
I mean, but now I'm still stuck with this mess that I still owe money for, and it was just a really bad day, a really
It'll
bad
be
day that I,
interesting to see when we get
yeah.
to the other side and replay that moment.
So, right,
What
indeed,
actually
indeed.
happened if an angel came down and fanned around your
Yeah,
face
just a
or
little bit
something?
of error, you know. I mean, but that day, that was a day that lady that I owed, I was in her house, and that's the one that I almost shot in the face. Like she came to an old, like 60-year-old biker meth lady, and I owed her money because she gave me money to make that batch of meth, and the batch didn't work out, and so she comes to collect on me like a week later, and I was like, listen, I feel like killing myself that I can't because I can't pay you. She's like all snarky, you won't do it. And I grabbed the gun out of my bag and cocked back. I was like, maybe if I kill you first, I'll have the motivation to kill myself. And my plan, like what was in my head that whole week or that whole month really was I'm just gonna flip out and I'm gonna kill a bunch of people and then kill myself. I was planning on doing a murder suicide. That was how I was planning on going out. And man, it was right there. I was gonna squeeze the trigger and blow that lady's face right all over the wall. I wasn't shaking or nothing. I was drew down, locked and loaded, ready to do it, and I could not get my finger to squeeze that trigger. It was weird. I looked at my hand and I tried to do it again. I could not get myself to squeeze the trigger, and I put the gun down and I grabbed. There was a little fan, like a little metal fan on the floor, and I grabbed the cord of the fan and I ripped it out of the wall. And there was a dude sitting right next to me, and the fan flew up and smacked him in the face, and blood squirted all over the room. And I was just like, "What the heck is going on here?" And then they pulled everybody out of the room. Like when they heard the gun cock, everybody was like, "What's going on?" And then when I almost shot her in the face, they came in, they pulled her out. The guy with the blood on his face, he walks out of the room, and then I'm just sitting there like in the
Holy
midst of
shit.
this chaos, like what is going on? Like I don't know.
So yeah, when my daughter got kidnapped, I fell out. Well, I could tell you the story just real quick, and The last thing I remember is looking at my foot, telling myself to go to the bathroom, and my body just totally shut down. And then a week later, the owners of I was renting in a side apartment from a family. There's a fence around the entire house and a couple side apartments. And Carolina was throwing rocks at the door of the owner in a pouring down tropical Panama rain.
Wow.
So I remember looking at my foot saying, "Go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom." I was just like in a total coma. And then the next thing I remember is getting pulled out, and I had not drink water in like 5 days. Or I just was done. I don't remember anything at full time. My throat was so dry. I remember it was hard to suck air in. It was a crazy condition
Wow.
that you can only experience when you're just right about to die, which is what my mind said to myself is, dude, you're dead. You're dead in seconds. And so when I came to, and there was 100 missed calls on my phone from her and no one else, and of course she had got those people. I just looked at the sky and I was just like, all right, no matter what happens, I'm always gonna have her back, and I'm coming back to you, and
Yeah.
thank you very much. And so yeah, the experience really made me um,
I have a heart of compassion for her. Like, so has she grown up in the normal, like middle, Central American, rough life for females or whatever,
well,
experiences with women, which I get. I mean, I understand the evil that women do. Like, I mean, so I mean, you saw me with Alma, right? Like, I was about to kill her or kill myself or kill somebody else. Like, and
totally.
I had your pistol under the seat, and I was actually thinking of taking it. And yeah, I remember that was
That's
a
crazy,
crazy
dude.
night. Yeah, but
Well,
yeah, there is. So okay, if you believe what the Bible says is true, that we do not wrestle. Our battle is not against human beings. It's against the spiritual forces that are behind the evil deeds of beings. And at the same time, we're also supposed to be discerning enough to say, to realize when a person has given themselves over to the darkness or refuses to come to the light. We are supposed to cut ways. I mean, according to what the Bible says, do not cast your pearls before swine. Do not give what is holy to the dogs. Do not, and it says in Second Timothy that there's going to be in the last days. And so, the people have been arguing whether we're living in the last days for the past 2,000 years, but we're closer now than we were then. And it says in the last days that people are going to be brutal, despisers of good, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, headstrong, haughty, lover, just completely disruptive, evil, and from those people, we have to have the discernment enough to say, okay, I've tried to bring light to the situation. I've tried to help these people, but if I can't, if they're not going to receive it and they're not willing to repent or change or to do anything positive, then you have to cut ways. And if especially
yeah,
with a person that you're with, okay, like me and Claire, like we were drug addicts together, and we were destructive and violent, and we did all the things that a drug addict couple do. Like, I mean, I was a straight up psychopath, and she was a freaking crazy tweaker chick, right? And
yeah,
at the same time, I'm also really stubborn and really not willing to, like, when I'm really connected to someone, I'm not willing to just throw somebody away. But
yeah.
when I went to jail, like, I was facing 9-year prison sentence for manufacturing, and I thought I was, I didn't know if I was going to get out of jail, for a long time or not. And she
Hmm.
sent me a Dear John letter. She left me for some other meth cook. Like, and so, so we've been together 25 years aside from about
Wow.
6 or 7 months. Um, but that 6 or 7 months, she was with some other dude, and it was rough, man. It was like that was my worst fear had come to reality. Like the one, because I mean, through all the drugs and all the craziness, she was the only person on the planet that I cared about. And to see her with some other freaking, and then this dude was a hardcore bandito, like biker, like the of the on the in the meth level. Like he was just one of the ones that were around Albuquerque. He was infamous. Like, don't go around that dude. He's beaten people and done horrible things to people and zip tied people and done all kinds of crazy stuff. And so there was all kinds of people. We knew of this guy before I went to jail. And then she,
Mm.
gets linked up with him when I'm in jail. And she's that's the I don't know if you've heard me share my testimony where I'm talking about I get a letter, I'm reading the letter in jail, and then I start banging my head against the wall. Yeah, well, she
Hmm.
said she said that she was hanging around his house, and I'm banging my head against the wall, freaking out. Like, heck no, like that's not like how you. I mean, like I was bad, but this dude was the freaking devil. She's gonna leave me for the devil, for the devil himself.
Yeah.
And and then when I got out of jail, I mean, again, her eyes, like her pupils were different sizes. Like she was on complete insanity mode. Like
Wow.
she was saying, wicked things. Like I went to go see her. I was like, okay, I'm out. Are we getting back together? And she told me
My,
to my face, she's like, I don't know. I kind of like Mike. And I was like, what? As soon as she said that, I flipped the freak out. I grabbed a mirror and smashed it over my head and just went freaking crazy. Like I went insane. But again, and it was back and forth. She was, running around doing all kinds of drugs and hanging around with that dude. And I was freaking out because I had prayed. I was like, God, you have to bring her back. You have to do
yeah.
something. And there was a point where I was like, oh, I guess God's not going to do anything. And that's when I went back to getting high. That's when I went back to,
Wow.
I went and got another girlfriend and just started moving back into that life. And it was crazy though, about, I don't know, a month and a half after being back in a meth lab and having a new girlfriend, one of our other friends, I don't know if you ever met her, her name was Kim. She used to go to the raves too. But
Hmm.
Kim calls me up and she's like, did you hear about Claire? I was like, what? I didn't hear anything about Claire. And she's like, she's been at her mom's house in the closet crying for 3 days. I was like, what? And it turns out, she was at that dude's house, and they were doing shrooms or something, and then she sat up on the bed and realized where she was at and who she was with, and had like this epiphany, a moment of clarity on shrooms, and told him, "You need to take me home." And she went home and went to her mom's house and just started repenting and crying out to God in the closet, crying for 3 days. And then she, after Kim tells me that, I talked to her and she's crying. She's like, "You probably hate me." I mean, and you're never gonna love me again. And I told her, I was like, I'm not wasting the 5 years that we spent together in hell over the darkness of this world. I told her,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I love about you, dude. And back to that thing about the pearls and Claire doesn't have the narcissistic personality disorder either.
Yeah.
But okay, so coming to you from Budapest, Hungary, in the Buddha Castle, me and my dad, right, Mickey Angel slash Brandon Angel slash a whole bunch of other names, and my dad, and we kind of got, life happens. Life happens. Some children fall, right, and then they become, little mini criminal 5000s, and I was just explaining to him how Ken Saul, hi Kenny, we love you, is now a pastor, and he's a pastor in the prison system after being in the prison system for manufacturing narcotics, and the Breaking Bad show being based on him. So me and my dad here, we've had to catch up on so much, and these small, short, excellent visits all over the world because we're blessed. Further back to what you said about we're fighting principalities and evil spirits and darkness, dude. As so, the house I'm in, the serial killer that killed this guy and all those saints around here,
Right.
just
Crazy
for
dude.
their houses.
Yeah. Right.
Just he's a chaplain, and so my mom puts on the sheep's clothing of this golden convert. This
Yeah.
guy, of course, is chaplain, and but lying.
Wait, but before he gets busted, he was a chaplain, or right now he's a
No,
chaplain in the prison.
he becomes chaplain in jail,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And also because in the Dateline special, he was like a Nazi skinhead and all this stuff. So and now he's
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Panamanian jail, and oh no
Huh.
no no. Anyway, most maniacal, manipulative dude, narcissistic personality disorder, like,
Yeah.
right? And he continues to lie on his victims, making himself sound like a hitman, right? He wants to tell this hitman narrative so that he doesn't look like quite the piece of garbage that he is. And he
Yeah. Yeah.
just published a book saying, "Long live King." Da, da, da.
Yeah.
And he writes a Wikipedia page that says chaplain brokers peace between rival gangs. Gang leader is one of the gang leaders. This is just a self-written Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Panama is actually, there are gangs and there are capos and there is organized crime and all that stuff, but not what he's describing in all these. He's just living
He's just
this.
making up a
And
nice little fiction for himself or whatever.
right. And in fact, there's a whole book, a best-selling book by a best-selling author in Europe, and he says in there, he says like, yeah, this guy is just pumping out fantasies, and he's wanting to believe them, and he's full of shit, and he's just the body.
Good thing you didn't have to cue a record there.
Check 1 2. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? I can hear you. Can you hear me? Fuck.
Turn it off, turn it back on. I don't know. Try,
Hello, hello, hello.
I can't hear you. In Saipan now, and with abdominal issues, and I'm like, oh, bro, like, and, he's feeling, and his girlfriend, he has a Filipino girlfriend there in Saipan, and she messaged me, and she's like, he's been super depressed and everything like that. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, it's time to, he's having to deal with this whole retirement thing, and he's not dealing with it very well. But I'm praying for him. I even linked him up with a pastor out there in Saipan. Hopefully he goes to church tomorrow morning. So this pastor is a former Marine Corps dude. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Crazy stuff, brother.
Move to the
Stuff.
mountains, man. Make a geographical switch. I
Yeah.
find it's like mountains and change places altogether. Change to a mountain that you haven't been.
No, a change of environment can make a huge difference. I mean, if you're surrounded by demons, if you're surrounded by negative, I mean, for me, I mean, I see clearly now that alcohol is the most pervasive demon in the modern world that we live in today. Like,
Well,
it is the most pervasive demon, and I mean, you got sugar, you got corporate greed, you got all these other capitalism, you
right.
got all, I mean, you got sex trafficking, you got all these things. But again, I don't believe there's any other demon on this planet that does more active damage to souls than the demon of alcohol.
And that's
Like
Panama's pastime.
yeah, yeah, everywhere. I
That is
mean,
their main pastime.
like everywhere you go, every strata of society, doesn't matter, the richest of the rich, the poorest of the poor, every family on this planet, alcohol is affecting it. I mean, in Islam, alcohol is banned in Islam. 2 billion people follow Muhammad, and they reject alcohol, and yet there's still problems with alcoholism within Muslim countries, like because it's such a, I mean, it'll creep in.
I
Uh,
I was
uh,
in a bar in Bahrain on Liberty, right?
uh,
And there's a Muslim next to me, and I'm like, "Aren't you supposed to?" He's
yeah.
like, "Yeah, but."
Right? See, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It is the most seductive demon on the planet right now. Crystal meth is one thing. You got heroin, fentanyl, all this stuff that people are doing. Alcohol beats all of them. It even beats sugar. Like everybody eats
It's
sugar,
the
right?
captain of the black magic, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And man, I mean, like think of the darkest days that you had, or some of the things that you've done. You know, you were probably on alcohol, right, when you did them. Like,
You know,
yeah,
I've never really been a big drinker, but I, you know, yeah, it's never been. There were when it's just the boys. Yeah, I agree with you, bro.
mm,
You know what I mean. When I was younger, uh, there's been so much. I'll tell you this: the whole reason that that incident I was just telling you about, where the mother of this girl,
yeah,
my once princess, at
yeah,
10 couldn't stop saying my daddy this and my daddy that and climbing all over me.
yeah,
But uh, the reason that she put the false report on me with the police is because the United States Navy was throwing a big holiday party and she wanted to go. And I said no. And she made me pay for that. She
wow,
made me pay for that. And it was an all paid for drink
yeah,
fest, food, all that stuff. And I was like, nope. And at that point, remember I told you I got baptized and I was super hardcore Christian, remember?
yeah,
That
yeah,
was that. I'm not gonna break my commitment. And she made me pay for that. And she tortured me and screamed at me every day in that house. Anytime, every day that I was there, I couldn't sleep. I had to go to work with no sleep. I'd sleep in the boat somewhere. I'd go walk off, run off and hide and sleep somewhere because
yeah,
I was never able to sleep. And, yeah, that was absolute hell. And, when I would go on workup deployments, I went on
yeah,
a workup deployment and came back, and she was a meth head, dude. She hid it from me. I didn't know that. People told me later, but it's already too late. I had a kid with her, and but
interesting.
then yeah, she was actually. So I come back from a workup deployment, and when the boat pulls in, you're in your dress uniform. You know what I mean? You're standing, and they do this
Yeah,
thing
parade
about the
rest and all
port.
that. Yeah,
It's
mm,
a thing, right?
yeah,
And we had been gone for a month and a half. She wasn't there. So, I get home. I'm in my uniform. There's five people getting ready to jump her. She's got my kid in her arms, and there's these two big dudes screaming. I just go into old school Brandon
combat
mode.
mode. Yeah,
You know what I mean? And they run off, and I'm fucking chasing them. You come, you want to fight? I'll fight you wherever with whatever. Fuck, if you come around my house, I'm gonna fucking kill all of you. And they were just like, holy shit. And later, the guy came back to see me at the mailboxes a month later, and he was like, she's been doing math. She told me that the kitten that we had messed up the blinds. And I remember I was like, damn, that's a strong kitten because the blinds were fucked up. You know
all
what I mean?
checked
And
up.
it
It was
caught
her
my eye.
peeking
I was
out,
like,
speaker peeking out the window.
yeah, I was just like, I figured the kitten maybe got trapped and fought his way out or whatever. They told me she left my daughter in the house while she was with them partying meth in Bremerton, Washington,
Wow,
and left my daughter in there crying. And it was my daughter that ripped up the blinds.
wow,
CPS, another neighbor called CPS because she brought two teenagers in, gave them beer and alcohol. CPS shows up 2 days after I chased the people off. And I'm
wow.
like, well, I'm here now. Please don't do anything. She's like, all right, I'm going to say you seem like a really great guy, so I'm going to squash this.
Yeah,
But these people are not going to put up with this shit. So you better get your household under control.
yeah,
That lady is pissed. And she came over and talked to me personally later and filled out this whole form right? And I left put her social security number, her address, and everything. I left the paper that she gave me with my mom, who's also a nurse, who I started to trust again. Oh, by the way, my mom is the reason this kidnapping happened. She was the nail in the coffin. They, because they got together on me. She was right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's recorded.
I'm pretty sure it's recorded these days. Let's see. It's
right? Because when you're a good person, when you're good people, when you do great things, and he does great things, rocket scientist, and you do great, and I do great things, and you do great things, we get respect from great people. And great things, by the way, is just as simple as doing the right thing and telling the truth, right? And dreaming big. So, I'm filling him in on what house music is here, and the house music chapter that happened right before I went to the military, and Kenny became the most famous meth cook in the world. Not the fake one, but the real one, right? And we know because they took his stories, and they took his last name, and they took his colored stuff, right? Okay. So I'm going over the history and how house music is mixed in the chapter right before Breaking Bad, where the Lobo Theater came into our possession through the owner at that time of the Ice House in Albuquerque. So the Lobo Theater was deemed a historical monument after we were done with it. After they put little brother Jared Hamlin on Crime Stoppers, right for some other crime, right next to a notice about we're looking for who desecrated the Lobo Theater, which was him, which is little Jared. He was the one who removed the first 6 rows of seats with a hatchet. Anyway, just too funny, too many coincidences in life. Coincidences being God's way of remaining anonymous, right? So now Kenny being mentioned in this huge, I was just about to tell you, mentioned in this huge international Christian network, CDN. I don't know what the G stands for, but Christian something network. Big piece was just done on him about how he was the real subject of the Breaking Bad thing. And we just thought, since we're talking about this, and since we're going to do a bad breaking storytelling series coming up, that why not do it from the top, do a little thing here from the top of the Buddha Castle. So now, as chemistry, rocket science, and Christianity, all these things, different things are coming together, can you come up with a question for me about the time period?
About the time period?
When I was super club owning, Lexus driving.
How did people react to an 18-year-old driving a Lexus and making $20,000 a month?
Yeah, no, it was probably a little bit more than that. I think we were making $20,000 a night, but how did they react? I'll tell you how they reacted. This was my first lesson in small, jealous minds, because, oh my God, they were in every corner. Fuck that guy, screw that guy, who the hell does he think he is? And, I can play better, he's not that good of a DJ, and so that's the majority. But then, at the front row, whenever I'd be playing, Mickey! I was like, that's not my name, but thanks, right? Right, good. Yeah, and then girls half naked dancing on speakers right here. People handing me a whole bunch of drugs all night long, me not taking any of them and handing them all to Kenny.
Wow.
And I didn't he can answer this question. I didn't take any of those drugs, and I was 1000% against drugs back then, now, always, for business or for consumption. Can you tell me why?
You believed in God, Christ, and was
Nah,
against the law?
somebody already pumped me full of them just a few years before, didn't they? Who was that?
Your mother.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot that never the ones that fell off that never came back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
There's a
so
lot.
knowing the people that just get sucked into the darkness and then it just consumes them and they're gone. It's one thing I've been thinking about lately. So I'm on a mission to be able to go into like the nightlife, back into the Albuquerque nightlife, but I want to do it as a warrior of light, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to. So did you see the thing that I don't know if you saw if I shared it to you? I want to start this movement called sobriety friendly. So
Okay. Yeah, I saw something.
I watched a documentary on alcoholism, like, and it was from this English. It was a TED talk about alcoholism.
Okay.
Um, and this person, you know, she did a scientific study on what are the main, factors um, that stop people from ever walking in freedom from alcohol. And one of them is a lot of people don't want to. It's a social thing. Like alcohol is so prevalent in the world because it is a kind of a social glue that if you're gonna be around people, you're going to be around alcohol. And if you're not going to be around alcohol, then you can't be around people. And I think that's garbage. I think we should be able to be around people and not have to consume alcohol. And so what I'm promoting is that uh, bars, clubs, special events, big places, they would get like these posters that say sobriety friendly, and so they would have an enhanced. So right now there's these things you can buy mocktails, you can buy like alternate beverages that sound and even taste like alcohol, but they're not alcoholic. They have like gin and rum and different stuff that's not non-alcoholic rum, and so you can
Right.
buy um, you can get a whole bar of these mocktail bar or energy drink bar or any other, you have all kinds of alternatives for people to go to a social event and be in the community without having to be exiled because they choose to be sober. I believe we can be sober. I'm gonna be an example. I can be around people. I can go to a club and not have to be alcoholic, and I don't have to get sucked into that. So that's one of the things that I've been in the midst of working on.
And that's me too. And honestly, for me, I find that it commands even more respect that I will go and say, no, that's not for me. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
no, I'm not going to do that, but thank you very much. And then
yeah, yeah,
I feel like people respect you even more, honestly
yeah.
now, which is, an optimistic part of this new age, actually, because there's a lot of things that are not as optimistic. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm starting to see people take on the idea, but it's interesting, especially coming down here to Brazil when it's behind the times, like the young guys too, like youth, right? Youth
Yeah.
gravitates towards the alcohol, man, and
Like the
that's fun.
club scene down in Brazil is crazy. The rave scene, like they're known all over the world for like they have Tomorrowland Brazil and everything. So it's like a big deal. Like the whole raver industrial complex is down there and doing big stuff. So all the big name DJs, they go down and DJ in Brazil now too. So
I'm
it's
gonna
a
have
big
to
thing.
go check some of that out. Man, I
Yeah.
just met these incredible kids at a barber shop, dude. They were the coolest guys. I would like to experiment with some like sort of straight edge like culturing that, you know what I mean? To see if I
Yeah.
can't go over there and be cool enough to be like, yo, dude, you know what? You can smoke a little thing or whatever, but why don't you leave that alone and just see what the reaction is? Because when I was over there, they were offering beers and drinking beers and check out our
Yeah.
whiskey and all that. And I was like, damn it.
Yeah. I want to get a t-shirt made that says, do something crazy, rave sober. And so, so imagine just to
Right
be
when we
able
were
to,
doing,
huh?
yeah, I don't remember alcohol even being that, but it's weird. Right when we stopped, and it just
Yeah.
like everything.
Well, there was in Albuquerque, there was actually some legislation passed that shut down a lot of the scene. And so everything had to go to a bar. You had to do your event at a bar. And so that's why the only, like when big DJs come to Albuquerque now, they come to alcoholic venues. I mean, because that was never the thing in the old school rave days. You know, we would just get a building and go in and have a party, right? And people would just come in for the. I mean, there was other things there, but you know,
and we killed it.
before
We
we
killed it.
did. Well, so when me and Todd first got into the club scene in Albuquerque, that was in the 90s, and we were straight edge ravers like for, I don't know, about 5 years before we even started hanging around. Like, so me and Todd
Yeah.
were going to the raves, and then he had his whole conversion into the oi or ska band thing, and that's when he met you guys, and so he
Yeah.
was kind of doing both. But I talked to
Yeah.
him this week actually, and so he's
Oh yeah.
he looks old, bro. I can't say that much. I don't know if he'll see this, but I'll tell him to his face when I see him.
But
Yeah.
and that's the very thing we're talking about. You got to leave the alcohol alone. You know, too
Yeah.
much alcohol, it just takes the youth right out of you. It takes the years right off of you. It's hardcore poisonous substance.
And that's another thing too. So he owns a bar, and that's a whole nother level. Like, I mean, so but if you that's why I think the whole sobriety friendly like little logo that bars can adopt, and then usually like, well, in the drug world, like, one of the rules in a lot of the drugs, except for the ones that I was doing, but a lot of drug dealers say you don't get high on your own supply, and you could make that like a thing with alcohol with bars. You don't be all drunk while you're doing out, selling alcohol or whatever. But I don't know. I'm just thinking there's got to be ways to do the secret agent thing and kind of infiltrate some light into these dark places, and then just be a representative of self-control, integrity, honor, and love, and joy and peace.
I mean, you and I were once the club rave kings of Albuquerque, New Mexico, right?
Yeah.
You know? And so maybe we can say now it's time to just really laser focus in, make incredible music production, make incredible new events after the control freaks basically took all that away from us. And that was a real spirit. There's a real spirit there. And it gets revived in all these like major commercialized ways. But I think that's a really underground freedom vehicle, especially to bring back and get support from the community this time to say, oh, these kids just want to go out here and do music and not have alcohol and be all night or whatever. That's
right.
Let's get behind that.
So we could start the sobriety friendly thing for bars, clubs, and events, and then the RS, the rave sober kind of initiative.
And maybe a whole new movement could come out of it, like straight edge music scene, like underground straight edge.
So I was looking that up. There was a black X they used to wear. Like, do you ever see that? That was a mark for the
that was a big part of that Albuquerque sub scene. And okay, so that honestly right now is an age begging for excellent resurgence of these music events all over the place in a new underground networking style, and be specifically straight edge as part of the culture, realizing that the control freaks who will have already taken this music away from us, this type of thing away from us before, they're happy for us to drink poison that's going to kill us and destroy our families. No, we're not going to be the stupid people that get directed into that stable. We're going to be the smarter, more conscious scene that really
So
is just like on the real freedom revolution in the musical
yeah,
era.
did I tell you about the book that I'm putting together about the rise of the industrial complex? Well, I'm doing the one about the digital theology as well, but I'm also
The
doing one
converting. Mhm.
the rise of the industrial complex. I'm going to be covering a few different areas, and like there is like, well, an alcohol or clubs or nightclubs or nightlife industrial complex. And so, you know, how this spirit that was in the rave scene, this something was sparked in the 90s and the early 2000s, something that
That was real. That
that
was real.
touched people's hearts, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then capitalism, capitalism is the overarching thing that takes that sparks an industrial complex. An industrial complex is a mega conglomeration of corporations that turns any good thing into a just a machine of profit that exploits human beings. So
Yeah.
you have the military industrial complex that was warned by Eisenhower, and it is a machine that exploits human beings for profit, and exploits war. And so the military industrial complex doesn't care about one side or the other. The military industrial complex just cares about profiting off of the trillions of dollars spent on war. And the war in Iraq, I mean the war on terror was a full on psyop for the military industrial complex.
Yeah, I was
Trillions,
there too.
yeah, exactly. So trillions of dollars
Yeah.
being spent on weapons and operations, and you know, I mean, like the whole thing in Afghanistan, garbage. That was all garbage
So
just to support the military industrial complex. Okay, so the military industrial complex is just one of them. Then you have the
they
as
run
far
the same thing inside of our families with family court. It's the same thing.
little psyop, yeah,
Elongated conflict,
right.
elongated conflict, just to keep maintain the status quo of slavery across this whole place.
Well, and you could say that is an outcome. Well, I mean, that there is one of the
Satanism.
issues in society. So there is the judicial or legal or prison industrial complex that we have here in the United States. So it is another conglomeration of exploitation. We exploit people. We turn people into dollars by putting them in prisons, sticking them in legal battles. We have all of the legal and prison industrial complex is a sadistic thing. So you have all these lawyers, right? Everybody's always suing everybody, and all this whole big machine that turns people into profits, into dollars and cents, and exploits the human beings in turn, you know, and it just takes the life out of it. Even in media. So
Yeah.
when Disney, the corporation of Disney, bought out Lucasfilm and bought out Star Wars, everybody knew that $4 billion that they spent was it was just a corporate investment, entertainment industrial complex idea, where it takes a beautiful, like something. Star Wars fans have been hardcore Star Wars fans for generations now, and now it's just part of the media industrial complex. I mean, they just churn out a bunch of garbage just to promote ridiculous messages that have nothing to do with what the fan base ever really wanted. And so you have all these different the rise of all these things. And there's a documentary on YouTube about late stage capitalism. So late stage capitalism is when capitalism has grown into the full ugly beast that it is. Like, because capitalism, okay, we love the idea of freedom, right? We love the idea of free enterprise. You know, in its core, capitalism is a beautiful thing because every man has the ability to go from zero and provide a, you know, and start something beautiful. But there is a evil, dark, sadistic, like um, demonic side to capitalism, and you see that within the industrial complexes of the world, to where everything from um, what's it called, pyramid schemes and multi-level marketing and all of the different little side hustle, get rich quick, marketing, all those things. I mean, for me, I was into it for years, all into the personal development and entrepreneurship kind
I
of
remember.
industrial complex.
I remember.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Notebooks. Yeah, I remember.
yeah, all those things, and I come to see that there was an evil demonic side to that as well. So it's when it grows to a certain point, it morphs, it mutates into its true form, I would say. I mean, because it anything that we can find, that anything in this world that human beings enjoy, the demons will see that thing as an opportunity. Any human enjoyment is found as an opportunity for what's it called? Um,
Oppression.
oppression, or we can
Hijacking.
exploitation, or exploit. You can exploit anything that people find pleasurable. You can exploit it. You know, sex and money and all the things. You know, that's why Las Vegas is what it is. You know, it's known for the exploit, yeah, Sin City, the exploitation of the human soul. And then so I get, and in this, the rave has been targeted by the industrial complex machine, and turned into, now you'll have, I mean, have you seen the stages on some of these the music festivals now, these giant,
Insane.
yeah, 60,000, 100,000
Crazy.
people,
Yeah.
with giant like pyrotechnics and
Yeah, it
all
looks
the,
like they have
yeah,
100,000 studio beams. What were they called?
yeah, studio spots, right now, yeah,
Yeah, studio
and
spot, yeah.
so, and yeah, they do. They literally, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like $1 million just in lighting for
Yeah.
these things. And it is and while it started as this beautiful thing, people getting together, it turned into this whole industrial complex. And so I'm warring against those things in my little way, in my little corner of life. But then we also have to think about how we live our lives day by day. And then, coming from, the real experience of what it is to be a person in the Albuquerque Breaking Bad scene, coming from that
Yeah.
life, and coming and going into jail. And now that I work in a prison, and I see, I still see guys every day. I mean, I have a classroom of guys that are in prison and they want to change their life.
Right.
And it's a crazy thing. I mean, because of the story is the same for many of them. They had some, not so fun childhoods. They had
Yeah, man.
a lot of different influences when they were kids. And then when life gets crazy, because it does, some of us get crazy along with it, and that can lead people
Totally.
into catching cases, and even killing people or doing things like that, and committing crimes, and all of that still feeds the demonic machine of the prison industrial complex. Like it's a thing that just turns, that they don't. So there's a thing that we're all, another one of my missions as a warrior for God is to promote restorative justice.
Well,
So
bro, I gotta, not to plug,
yeah,
but I have to submit to you the stuff that's been on the nutritional diversity site for a year now, about especially how nonviolent criminals should be establishing ecological enhancement projects, reforestation, a
yeah,
relationship with nature heals, man. It heals
yeah,
all kinds of different things. Definitely criminal intentions and lack of empathy and putting them, yeah. So I'll shoot that to you. And
yeah, absolutely.
just to continue to roll with the back and forth a little bit, I think a lot of this has to do with size limits and sustainability, and living in a sustainable fashion with nature teaches us that, pay attention to nature, you understand everything better.
Hmm.
If we were to spread out, there's a lot of driving room, and if we were to have new cultures, new music cultures, new straight edge cultures, new sober friendly cultures, and movements of conscious productivity and realization of some of these dark and drastic evils, and reestablishment of, like you said, you know, it gets big enough to where it starts to sterilize the valid, healthy culture that we build for our children off of there, and then gives us this totally cancerous culture, you know, and cancerous even food culture, monoculture, right? And then so now we're all stupid and toxic water culture, all of that, right? So that's why, anyway, that nutritional diversity information about reestablishing really, I mean, that's just like a Marcus Aurelius Meditations
Yeah.
download of in nature. Just go stand in nature and you can get. But anyway.
So I'm teaching a series at church on Sundays called Life 101.
I'll be
And
there.
so and so Life 101, I've done three parts so far. Life 101 for me, life, because so if you go to college, your first introductory class in whatever topic. So if you go to English, your first English class in college is going to be English 101. It's your introductory into these higher things. And so this series that I'm teaching is kind of the introductory thing for a successful life, a truly fruitful, truly fulfilling life. And so Life 101 Part 1 is faith. It's on the YouTube channel now. Life 101 Part 1 is faith, because I believe a truly fulfilled life starts when you come to terms with what you believe. And you start to really believe what you believe is really real. Because a lot of people talk about faith and have like illusions, or kind of they have some kind of vague understanding of what faith is. But most people, even though people that say they believe something, they are practically, when you look at their life, they don't really behave like people who believe what they believe is really real. They behave like atheists. So an atheist is a person who doesn't believe in God or anything. An atheist only believes in the natural world, like whatever they can see, feel, touch, whatever's. So instead of mind, body, and soul, it's just, for an atheist, it's just mind and body. The only thing
Honestly,
we know,
they're not even connected to the natural world anyway, because if you really get connected to the natural world, the thing that you really start to see tying everything together is the spirit.
well, that's,
Really
I mean,
it's really what if you
there was
really
a famous
make the connection.
there was a famous scientist, William Paley. He did natural theology. So he would observe nature, and he would point to God. He'd say, "See that? That's God." And so, and his argument was called the watchmaker argument. He would say, if you found a beautiful gold pocket watch on the beach, right, and had all those little intricate gears and little jewels and all the stuff that's inside of a really nice expensive pocket watch, if you saw that on a beach, what would be the logical conclusion to come to? Would it be that that just happened over millions of years of random time and energy and random mutation by natural selection? Or would you conclude that there was an intelligent mind that created it? Which is the most logical conclusion to come to when you find something that has all this intricate design in it? This is called the teleological argument for God. And so when we look at the universe, when we look at nature, when we look at genetics and atomic structures, even when we get down into the subatomic, all of these things have these crazy order to them, which would point towards some kind of mind, because chaos does not give birth to order. It doesn't. That's not the way chaos works. And so minds give birth to order, and we see order in nature. We see the seasons, and we see how how nature balances itself. They call
No,
it
it's highly intelligent.
homeostasis, right? So yeah,
never get bored.
right. And so if we see a system that has an order and a balance to it, what is the most logical conclusion to come to? Is it that just random chance by natural selection, by Darwinian evolution? I mean, is that the best conclusion? Is that the most logical conclusion to come to? That there is no purpose, there is no mind behind life, and I don't believe it is. I'm a former atheist who did not believe in God, and I have come to believe that this world that we live in isn't just a an accident. So,
No
and
doubt in my mind.
so
Yeah.
so Life 101 Part 1 is faith, where you come to the understanding, okay, there is a divine presence, there is God, there is a God, to the creator, to the creation. And then when you engage your faith, and say if it was the Christian faith and you engage faith in Jesus Christ, and you believe that 2,000 years ago there was a Jewish man that was nailed to a cross, and he did this because he wasn't just a man, he was also the Son of God who came to redeem the world. And you take those precepts, and so it's just a claim, right? It's you can claim anything you want. You can claim that the universe is made by a flying spaghetti monster, but when your claim, each claim that you make about the spiritual world, it will have a certain level of power to it. If you claim that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and he's a real being, and you believe that, then it should have power to do it. And so I'm a personal witness to the power of putting what happens when you put your faith in Jesus. Your life changes, and millions of lives all around the planet have chosen to put their faith in Jesus, and lives have been changed for it. It's for me, it's evidence based. It's not even theoretical. It's not even just a spiritual claim. It's like, okay, I did this thing, and now I have these results.
No,
Uh,
it's
uh,
become a reality for me too.
all
And
right.
I love what you were saying. Once you start operating inside of the real reality, stuff above starts to notice, all right, you figured it out, buddy. Good job. And they give you some hookups, you know.
Yeah.
I hope. And
Blessings upon blessings. So
yeah,
faith
exactly. Yeah,
faith leads
yeah,
to blessing. So the opposite
yeah.
of faith leads. So you have blessings and cursings in life. And I've seen that faith leads to blessings. So yeah, I'm doing this series, Life 101, because my daughter is about to go off to college. And she's
Wow.
leaving, and she's going to upstate New York, and she's going to be gone. She's not going to be in New Mexico. And I just want to, preach something that can give her and all the other young people and older people too, who are still trying to figure it out, the basics of what you need to understand about life. So part one is faith. Part two is family. So if you have your faith, you believe that you're a created being, created by God, you believe that Jesus is the Son of God and the Savior of the world, you believe these things by faith, that will do something inside of you. But that's something that happens inside of you should lead you into an understanding, a different understanding. It did for me anyway, to change your understanding of family. Family is something that's special to a lot of people, right? Like even you commented on that one thing. It was like that's one been like the desire of your heart for the majority of your life, right? And it's something that we want. We want to be in a loving family. We want to experience the love that comes from brothers and sisters and moms and dads, and that's something that is coded into our internal spiritual code.
You say,
And so the crazy thing is, for a lot of people who have had trauma and pain connected to family, it is the power of faith and the power of God to actually redeem that thing. Because me,
ooh,
I was not a big fan of family. I didn't like the way I grew up. And even though I had some people, my grandmother, man, she was the closest thing to a saint that any human being I've ever met. Like my grandmother was amazing.
well,
And we had some really wonderful times with my grandma at my grandmother's house when I was a little kid. I didn't have a lot of wonderful times when I was a little kid, but when I went to grandma's house, man, it was good. And but that whole understanding of family was corrupted in my mind as I got older. And I didn't really come to understand what it was until I got my faith straight. Once I got my faith straight, then I started to realize it's not, I'm not the author of family. You're not the author of family. God is the author of family. And when you come into the family of God, that brings you into a whole nother level. Now I know I have brothers and sisters all around the planet. It doesn't matter where I go. I'm sure I can find somebody. I say Jesus, and they'd be like, yeah, yeah, they're like, there, my brother. And I can find brothers and sisters anywhere I go because I know the power of God is real, and He created this planet. So my spiritual family, yeah, I would say in a lot of ways is still stronger than my biological family. Even my relationship to my kids and stuff, and my like my spirit. I have spiritual children, children that I have that I didn't beget, physically, but they have come to look to me as a spiritual father. And
Yeah.
it's still weird that I have spiritual children, but it's cool. Like the guys in the program.
Special as can be. Yeah, it's right.
And it's a pretty cool thing. I was talking about my kids, and then one of the guys in the program, he's like, well, you got like 30 more kids right here. I was like, oh, that's
way more than that, and way more than that. And man,
yeah.
I was just in an orphanage the other day down here. Oh my God.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like
you got it.
yeah,
Did you ever look up George Mueller? Did you ever look at read the story of George Mueller? George Mueller.
No, I didn't. I don't remember that.
I'll send you a link to that. But the story.
Okay.
The story of George Mueller is an amazing story of a guy who started orphanages, and he started bringing kids in. And the crazy thing about George Mueller is that he would not go and look for financial support he wouldn't ask anybody. He would just, him and the kids would pray, and God would send stuff. And there's recorded incidents.
That sounds real.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a whole family thing right there. So this past Sunday, Life 101 Part 3 is fortitude. The definition of the word fortitude? I can read it to you real quick.
Let's go.
Fortitude is,
Get it right.
Yeah, I want to get it right, so that way we don't misquote it. So, fortitude. So fortitude, according to dictionary.com, is mental and emotional strength in facing difficulty, adversity, danger, or temptation courageously. So if you have fortitude, you can face all of these temptations, dangers, adversities, difficulties in life with courage. And so this is my prayer for my daughter and for my friends and for all my spiritual children and for my family and everyone that I meet. I want to encourage them to live with fortitude, that courage to push through the struggle, to not give up, to not quit. Why is mental health, addiction, depression, suicide, why are those things destroying the communities we live in? Because we have a need of fortitude. We need to understand that God has called us to push through the pain and get up, and you might have fallen down.
And be superhuman. Be
Right?
superhuman warriors of God. You'll never believe I'm in Fortaleza, Brazil right now. The name is Fortaleza.
Fortaleza.
Fortified. That's where I'm in. That's the city.
Yes, fortitude. You got a spirit of fortitude in Fortaleza. That's great. And one of my friends always says all obstacles are opportunities to build strength.
Oh, what friend is that?
So, and that's I use that in the message. So I want to encourage people with that. It's not the end of the world. It's just another thing that really is going to make us stronger. And so when you have that spirit of fortitude, and there was this TED talk about grit. It's the same thing: grit, perseverance, fortitude. They all kind of work together. And when you embrace resilience, Yeah, that's that spirit of even though you may have fallen down 8 times, you get up 9 times, right? You continue to get up. I mean, and you can do this with spiritual things, physical things, emotional things, because we get knocked down all different ways, right? You might have lost your faith because of something that happened within a church, like the pastor cheated on his wife and big old scandal, and you lost your faith. Or you might have had emotional things like a divorce, or you lose your child to some argument. These things. Or you might have had physical. You got sick, or you got and you lost a leg or something. But again, the human spirit that God gives us, the God gives us a spirit of resilience. The stuff that human beings can push through and overcome. You've seen the guys on the Wounded Warrior Project, right? Guys who got blown up in IEDs, and
Yeah.
still they're able to come back and live their life, because whatever doesn't kill us really does make us stronger. So that was part 3 of Life 101. Next week I'm going to hit it hard. Next week is the last Sunday that my daughter's going to be here with us, and
Wow.
I'm going to hit it hard with the number one thing you need to know about life. Life 101 part 4 is going to be the L word. What's the L word?
Love.
Love. If you need to know, I mean, the number one thing you need to get to have a really good understanding of in life is love.
Yeah.
The more you understand what love is, and how love works,
Love
what
is
love
true.
is love is truth, love is patience, love is kindness. And that's what was one of the things that changed in my life. Okay, so from being a hopeless drug addict, homicidal, suicidal, psychotic, crazy person on my way to prison and hell, to being the person I am now, that love it was the changing factor. When I finally
Wow.
found out what love is, God opened my eyes. I was like God reached down and gave me a new heart. And when God pulled out my heart of stone and put in a heart of flesh, I could start to feel. You ever seen the Grinch Who Stole Christmas? Remember at the end of the movie when his heart grows like 10
Yeah.
sizes? Yeah. And that's what love does. If we want to save the world, we need love.
Yeah,
If we
man.
if we want to change the world, we need love. If we want to change our families, we need
And
love.
we need love enough to be, like you said, consistent, do the right things, tell the truth. And we have to be
Well,
fortified enough.
love.
If people
So
aren't with the love thing, if they're still with the lie thing, if they're still with the continue to try to pull the wool over your eyes, because that's
yeah,
not love, right? If
right.
they're still with this evil schemes and the bad intentions and the jealousy or whatever thing, then you have to have the fortitude to cut that for the
Yeah,
moment, because otherwise we need you to be your best. We need you to be
yeah.
your best. How are
Yeah.
you going to be
Well, I
your
mean,
best?
so it's love that compels me. Like it's love that gets me up in the morning. It's love that gets me to be as good as I can possibly be. And it's love that causes me to trust God where I'm weak. The Apostle Paul said, "When I am weak, then he is strong." So he said even though he doesn't have the physical strength to do all the things he needs to do, but he thanks God that God's grace is sufficient. God's love is more powerful than any human love. And so when we hold on to God's love, we get that sword that chops through the lies, the deceit, the pain. And so you hold on to God's love, and we are on that path, bro.
Yeah, we
That's what
are.
I'm moving toward
Thank
every single
God.
day. Thank God, right? Thank God for his
Yeah,
love.
no, thank God. Yeah,
Like,
no, we are, man. And I couldn't be prouder about it and more excited about the future steps. And that's all I'm gonna work for, man. I'm totally sacrificing. I'm gonna get back on my knees right after this. I'm just sacrificing, throwing sweat and money everywhere to just push myself away from everything real quick and just focus on getting this message done, this message out. And dude, already I didn't even get a chance to tell you, but just like the last month that I've been able to scrape myself into this corner that I'm finally in, where I'm just gonna
yeah,
produce and produce and produce and put my head down for a minute and turn off my phone and just get all this stuff knocked out and polished up and progressive. And already, dude, it's just like, oh man, you can see God throwing the line out in every direction. These kids, they're for you. This whole group of kids, the barbershop, they're for you. This whole kid, you know what I mean? Like, start seeding the new movement of God and the real example with the straight edge mythology, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are soldiers of light, brother. Yeah, I see that in you. I mean, your spirit is one that I thank God to this day that God brought us together when He did, and is still keeping us on this path. You know, we might be on different battlefields, but we know we're still fighting that war. We know we're part of that same.
Absolutely amazing. It's bright. It's bright. I love it.
Yeah. So I'm excited, brother. All right, I gotta get on. I gotta take my daughter to the hospital and stuff.
Okay, brother, dude. Good thing. I'll cut this up. I think we got some good stuff. I'll get in there. I'll download it. I'll just be working on a bunch of video message stuff, dude, and linking and descriptions and all that, and just have a ton of presence, hopefully, and then start. Yeah, dude. I got these little Brazilian kids. They're taking photos out on the track and trying to sell them back to the people running, right? Yeah. For like 5 real, the price of a coconut, which is like 40 cents. It's so I'm gonna see, what kind of little cool
change lives, bro. Yeah, one life at a time, bro. One life at a time. That's all we can do. Well, by all means. Yeah. I'll keep you guys in prayer. You guys keep us in prayer out here in the land of enchantment.
Yes, sir. I'll be there Sunday.
All right, cool. Yeah, there we go.
All right, brother.
All right. Blessings. Talk to you later.
All right, later.